Welcome to Jesus Changes Everything, a daily podcast dedicated to providing a fresh look at the ancient and glorious truth that Jesus not only reigns, but is busy about the business of bringing all things under subjection, that celebrates the wonder and the glory that he has been given all authority in heaven and on earth. In our ongoing journey through the Westminster Shorter Catechism, which is coming swiftly near to its end, we come today to question 103. After today, we'll have 4 left. We're still working our way through the Lord's Prayer. Question 103 asks, what do we pray for in the third petition? I know it's been a week or so since maybe more, since we've looked at one of these Westminster Shorter Catechism questions. You may not remember that at question 102 asked about the second petition, which is thy kingdom come. And I'm going to argue that I think the Westminster Divines missed a deeper connection between the second and the third petition, and maybe confused the matter by looking at them as 2 different petitions. So let me first read the question and answer. What do we pray for in the third petition? The answer is, in the third petition, which is, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven, we pray that God, by his grace, would make us able and willing to know, obey, and submit to his will in all things as the angels do in heaven. Now, I don't have any quarrel with the substance of the answer. I'm going to quarrel, however, with what's left out and what's here at the end. The idea that we pray and ask God for his help in obeying what he has revealed to be his revealed will is a good thing. It's something we should pray all the time, something we should be asking God for and should be obvious to us. This was actually an issue that was the occasion for the original battle between St. Augustine and the British monk Pelagius. For Augustine, in his Confessions, wrote, Lord, command what thou wilt and grant what thou dost command. Make whatever law you want to, God. It's up to you. But please give me the capacity and the ability to keep it. Grant what thou dost command. And Pelagius said, well, that hardly seems right. If God gives a command, surely it must be within our power to obey it. Well, I think, again, this very prayer clearly demonstrates that Augustine was right and Pelagius quite wrong. We ask God, according to the requirement of Jesus, that we ask him for help in obeying all that he's commanded. Secondly, I'm going to go to the least big deal, and that is the end, where we're told, as the angels do in heaven. It's absolutely true that the angels in heaven do God's will in heaven, as we're called to hope to do it on earth. But they're not the only ones. And it's a strange thing to drop in here, in my judgment. Why wouldn't it rather say that God, by his grace, would make us able and willing to know, obey, and submit to his will in all things, as the redeemed do in heaven, or the elect do in heaven, or the souls do in heaven? One of the most glorious things about heaven, it is, rightly understood, an intermediate state, in the sense that even in heaven we will await the coming return of Jesus, the resurrection of our bodies, and the fullness of the new heavens and the new earth. But one of the things that is finished is our sanctification, and we will sin no more. And that brings us back to the big point. Why is it that this is separate from thy kingdom come? Because I'm going to argue that the essence of the coming of the kingdom, maybe I should say the essence of the kingdom is first the fact that Jesus reigns, and second, it is where Jesus is obeyed. And Jesus is obeyed fully in heaven, and we're called to obey fully on earth. And so there's a connection here between the kingdom coming, between our obedience on earth and eternity in heaven. And I don't want that to be missed. Because at the end of the day, what it means is not that we won't have suffering or hardship or persecution. Of course we will. But the more obedient we become, the more heavenly earth becomes. It immanentizes the eschaton, if I wanted to use 50-cent words. The more we obey on earth, the more like heaven our world here becomes, including the world we're living in. We need to remember, friends, that each and every single time we sin, we bring hardship on ourselves. And every single time we obey, we bring blessing on ourselves. We personally are always better off doing the right thing. And that's a kind of heavenly thing. So when we ask God to help us obey, we're not just asking, although we are asking this, Lord, help us to honor you by obeying you, but we're also asking him to give us a good life, a life like life in heaven, by helping us to obey and submit to his perfect law, which is what we were designed to do and what we were designed to be from the very beginning. To put it another way, we're asking to bring us back to the garden. Lord, help us to walk in obedience, to walk with you. Help our earthly life to be what our life will be. There's a couple of places I want you to if this intrigues you, a couple of places you can learn more about this, both from the pen of C.S. Lewis. One, read once again. It's one of the most beautiful few pages I've ever read. The closing pages, the last chapter of the last of the Chronicles of Narnia, The Last Battle. You'll get something about what I'm talking about here, or go read In the Great Divorce, which is just my favorite of all C.S. Lewis's books. Read the conversation between the narrator and the character who represents George MacDonald, this Scotsman who explains the relationship between heaven, hell, and time. Well, speaking of time, I'm out of it. I look forward to next time when we come back to the Westminster Shorter Catechism. It's time once again for another one of our Atin lay segments, and once again I've chosen a Latin term that is profoundly close to its English equivalent. One of the things I hope you'll learn through these segments is how very much the English language is dependent upon Latin, and eventually as you pick up some of these things, you'll be able to figure some of these things out on your own. Our term today is Meritum, M-E-R, that is M as in Mary, E-R-I-T-U-M, Meritum, and that is the Latin word for the English word merit. Well, that might be pretty boring thing for us to talk about, except that it connects to an issue of great import in the division between Orthodox historic Protestantism and Roman Catholicism. And the distinction is here. Obviously, we have a essential distinction, a vital distinction between how Protestantism affirms we're justified and Rome affirms that we're justified, that relates to merit. That is, there is no grounding in our own merit in the Protestant view that causes us to be justified. In the Roman view, we're not declared to be just until we are just in ourselves, which happens by cooperating with the means of grace. But in the end, it is our own merit. But Rome has also come up with a division of their understanding of merit, a kind of two-tiered system. One of those is what's called Meritum de Condino, and the other is Meritum de Congruo. The Meritum de Congruo is the much more common sense of merit in the Roman understanding of things. And it is this. It simply means, and by the way, here's yet another word that connects easily to English. Meritum Dei congruo is really in English congruous merit. Congruous merit. And here's what that means. Let's say that... I don't know. I ask my sons to rake the yard, okay? And they do a reasonably good job. They're diligent as far as they're able, given their limitations and their age. And let's suppose that I, buy them each a bicycle or something like that. Something a little bit over the top for the work that was done, and the work wasn't perfect. Well, what am I doing? I'm not saying to them, you have, strictly speaking, earned this. What I'm saying is, it's fitting for me to give this to you. It's congruent. I am pleased with you, and I want to bless you. And that's what congruous merit is like. It doesn't, on a carefully weighed measurement, it doesn't really earn the gifts that the meritorious person receives. But it is fitting. It's appropriate. It's not against what was earned. That is, it's not that I sent my sons out to rake the yard. Instead, they burned the grass up, and I gave them a bike. That would not be congruous at all. Then condign merit, Meritum Dei condino, is that merit in the Roman system that is necessarily owed or due a particular reward. It would be unjust if it wasn't rightly rewarded. If I told my sons, please go out and rake the backyard, and they rake it so absolutely perfectly, and there's not a stitch of leftover leaves, and I give them a penny, I have not given them condign, or responded to their merit that was condign. I've given them less than what they should be due. Well, condign merit actually earns something. It's owed by the one it's given to. And so Rome says sometimes we have this, sometimes we have that. And what's interesting is, and this is something I will never fully understand, I don't think anyway, but maybe someone can help me understand. Here's how this ties in once again to the issue of justification. In the Roman system, to be a saint, one must have merit beyond what is needed. So you've got to go past condign merit, congruous merit. You're well past that. Now you're past condign merit, and you've got extra, and that goes into the treasury of merits. This was this sort of extra owedness from God that supposedly the Pope had the authority to share and to give, which gave rise to the selling of indulgences. It was like a goodness sort of checkbook, and you wrote a check to Rome, and Rome wrote you a check for some of that merit. What's interesting to me is that it really ends up being a kind of a substitutionary atonement, only it's not from Jesus, it's from the saints. So lots of weird confusion going on there. Well, meritum, that just means merit. Meritum Dei congruo is congruous merit, or a reward that is fitting, or that it would be a merit that it would be fitting to reward, and condign merit is a merit that justice would require that it be rewarded.